Welcome to the Driving Standard Podcast with your hosts, Matt Bono.
If you're a guy like me, you need to either make a ton of money or sell the car before the warranty runs out.
Right.
Mike Smith.
It destroyed the entire exterior of our 2-week-old vehicle.
And Bryan Baca.
Had a huge wreck. I think it was like
It was massive.
it was
G-Cup.
Welcome, everybody, to the Driving Standard. My name is Matt Bono, and as always, I'm joined with Bryan Baca and Mike Smith. And on today's show, we're going to talk about why Bryan deflowered his Audi. I spent the weekend with insanely nice cars, and then we're going to get into car companies that no longer exist.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Perfect. So Bryan took the emblems off of his Audi.
Is there an explanation for this? You just wanted to.
I had
tally that up?
debadged the A3 and the 2.0T before, but then I'd been looking at it and I'm like, I wonder if I pull the rings off, what it would look like. Pulled up a few pictures and I was like, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and do that.
Okay.
So, and then I put black rings on the front of it, and then I vinyled the chrome on the front, so now it all looks black on the front. So
Yeah, it
came
looks
out pretty
clean.
Yeah, it's pretty cute.
It's the nicest looking Volkswagen Jetta I've seen.
good. Right? Got some black mirror caps coming too.
Sorry.
It'll
I had to
look good.
throw that in there, man. It looks great, but I had to
No,
give you
that's a good-looking ride.
Yeah.
It's not dirty enough, but
Is it ever?
I know, the
washed
only
it
reason
yesterday.
he moved to Colorado is so that bugs wouldn't hit his windshield. That's it.
That was his whole game plan.
That's
That's
right.
awesome.
He planned that ahead of time.
Yeah. No, it looks good.
Hey, look, aren't you
Thanks.
guys going to talk about my truck?
Oh, your
I
truck.
took the rack off of my truck. Look at that. It's a
His
sexy
truck
piece.
had a huge wreck. That thing was like,
It was
Yeah,
massive.
it was
G-Cup.
like Dolly Parton.
He's giving his mom a run for the money.
Yeah, it was a beast. Yeah. That's why we should call it Dolly. That thing looks really stupid.
So
when
Bryan,
I-
that wasn't your first time.
no. I debadged lots of stuff.
Was it hard?
No. No.
Did you get sweaty?
It took me a
Is
little
that
while.
triple
yeah.
entendre? What is
Are
that?
we still
Yeah.
talking about cars?
Yeah, it was hot. I was sweating all over the place. That heat gun, man. You get that thing going, and
Yeah, I know.
Was
what
it
you
your
mean
heat gun?
it was my heat gun. I actually bought one.
Can I scoot over? I'm petrified. Easy. Good looking car.
It is. It's the nicest thing out there.
Why do you let him drive it? I noticed that the other day. He pulled up. Is it just so you have a chauffeur? I don't understand.
I drive all day, so I'm like, hey, does anybody else want to drive?
I drive all the time. I would never let this drive anything. Like I can't. Oh, sorry. He's right there, isn't he?
Yeah.
I
I'm
was
listening,
freaking- He's
believe it or
right
not.
over there. Thought his headset was off. What are you gonna do?
Oh man. Well, as you guys know, because I text you photos the entire time of, hey, look what you're not doing.
Yeah,
I went to a quite classy car show this weekend.
that's pretty fancy.
Some good looking stuff on there.
First time I'd ever seen two Sennas in the same parking lot.
Yeah, I saw that picture. That was man.
That was insane.
Did they start those up?
Yeah.
Yeah,
We have a video that we'll post to our Facebook page of one rolling. He didn't rev like the Ferraris did, which we posted earlier this week. I think I also have photo of the Bugatti Stelvio from 1936. It was leaving. That was the first car that greeted me when we walked into the car show. And of course, everybody's walking around it like, oh, it's okay. It's an old car.
Yeah.
Little did they know that Bugatti's almost or is worth more than a Veyron or a Chiron or any of the
Right.
new ones. So
Right.
that was cool seeing. I think there's only like 6 of them left in the United States. And that was,
Crazy, man.
yeah, it was insane.
Crazy. Like everybody I know has been going to car shows the last few weekends. And I'm working.
Well,
What are we
we
doing
have
for-
Cars and Coffee here in Colorado scheduled for, I think, next month that we're all going to go to.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll see some cool stuff. I had the most expensive glass of champagne I've ever had. And I walk into the show and they have a table and they give you all this complimentary champagne. And they hand it to me in one hand. I had my phone out to take a photo of the Bugatti in the other one and grabbed the champagne, released the phone, and it hit the tarmac. And it's a Samsung. So the back is glass.
Oh,
The front is glass.
you
And
broke
so
your phone
I
just
broke
like mine.
I broke my phone. So
Twinsies.
yeah, the
that
most
sucks.
expensive glass of champagne I've ever had. Cost me a Samsung.
Okay.
We posted earlier some of the photos from that car show. I'll probably finish uploading them this week. So you'll see some great stuff. There was a 1972 or 73 911 RSR, which was beautiful. I just posted that today. We had the 488 Ferrari, the GTC4 Lusso. That was the one we posted to YouTube today. And then, Testarossa, a Dino, a handful of Lamborghinis. They had 2 GTs, one from 2005 and then a modern GT. Just some really cool stuff.
Anybody have a Ferrari 308 up there?
No.
I always like
there
the 308
was
yellow, not red.
No, there was no 308 up there.
That sounds like fun, man. Yeah, I was super jealous looking at the pictures of the rides. It's like going to a strip club to me, though. A lot of times,
Absolutely.
going to car
Can't
shows,
touch,
it's
can't
like,
drive.
Yeah, it's like, well, come on, man. Why am I here?
I just
what
wanna
am I going to
sit
do
in
with
that.
this awkward
Right.
your car?
Quickest way to ruin a $1 million Bugatti interior is let Mike sit in it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right, so on to this week's topic of autos that have died.
Brands and manufacturers,
yeah,
models.
nameplates over the years, and we've seen really in the last 10 years. I think we've seen it's like the killing fields of car brands and nameplates that have just fallen by the wayside one after another. And every year you hear about a new one that's filing bankruptcy or disappearing, or the brand is moving away.
Or in Ford's case, they're not building cars anymore. In Mitsubishi's case, they want to go to all eco mode stuff.
Right.
So exciting.
Yeah,
Can't
strange.
wait.
It's strange, and it feels like there were things that killed some of these nameplates and car brands, and then some of it was just they made bad decisions and they killed themselves.
You and I had an interesting conversation about Ford because the only car they're going to make is the Mustang. And I think that's a bad idea, but you said you think that's a great idea.
I think so. So they have built their brand. You see all the commercials, built Ford tough, and that's the reality. That's what people expect. I'll be honest with you. I am not one of these Ford versus Chevy. You got to drive this one. I drive Chevy at home. I've driven Fords. I've driven Dodges. I don't care. It's down to the vehicle itself. But when it comes to my work vehicles, I own a company that does a lot of, service work type of stuff. And I've just found that those things last a long time if you take care of them. And they don't have all the really cool bells and whistles on their lower end models that the Chevys do that tend to go funky on you. So that was really kind of the decision maker for me a long time ago. So I think Ford's kind of smart to be this is what we're good at. This is what we're efficient at. We still have the Mustang to be the showpiece, the toy. But the reality is they're building big trucks,
They definitely sell more F-150s than Fiestas. We know that,
Right.
obviously. Mustang becoming a brand of itself, I'm not opposed to that, but I don't think Ford's going to do it. And we'll talk about that on a future episode.
Right.
We have a Mustang guy coming on to kind of pick his brain a little bit about
Talk about the brand.
Yeah. But I just worry with a recession coming that maybe they're killing off their cars too soon. That's my concern.
Right. Well, and there's the thought that the American car buyer has turned into this versatility car buyer, and I'm not any different, right? So we've talked about it ad nauseum. I'm not going to go out and buy a Challenger. I love them, but I'm not going to go out and buy a Challenger because it's I'm going to be spinning out in the winter, right? And I think that's a lot of guys look at the kind of sport model trucks, the F-150s, and the new Chevy 1500s and stuff, and go, well, I can drive this as my daily driver. It's fun. It's got a lot of pickup. I can use it for utility. I can do a lot of stuff with it.
Right.
And I think that the American car buying market is turning that way so much that it's caused Ford to go, okay, well, that's what we'll build then. Now, to your point, yeah, if the economy crashes out, nobody can afford gas anymore, and the only thing people are worried about is commuting back and forth to work, you may be really disappointed that you don't have, those cars out there. Are they stopping the Focus?
Yeah, they're stopping all cars.
Ooh.
And that's where I have a problem is, man, that means no Focus RS. That means no Taurus Show. We're going to be losing some big nameplates here.
The Focus is the one that bothers me, just because
Really?
I like that. I like that hot hatch competition amongst the kind of rally car.
Well, that was affordable.
Standard, yeah.
Now it's you're going to have these trucks like, oh, yeah, your base model truck is $60,000. So it's going to be more, I guess, high-end stuff.
The problem with the Fords, Fiesta and Focus, is they're both one of the least reliable sports cars or hot hatches you can buy right now.
So that limits their market to matte. That's literally the only people that
Drive
can sell
it until the wheels fall off.
That's right. It'll be at 100,000 miles. But...
I know we always give bad car advice, but I'll give you some great car advice. If you're a guy like me, you need to either make a ton of money or sell the car before the warranty runs out.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
It's your only two options.
Keep your insurance.
Yeah, only two options. So all you alpha drivers out there, keep an eye. 36,000 miles. You better have a buyer for it.
Yeah, no doubt.
If you look at that, any of the alphas or Fiats the wrong way, they catch on fire.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. Well, that's Matt at thedrivingstandard.com.
That's spelled M-I-K-E. I'll just come out and ask you guys. We'll start with Bryan. What is a car company you miss or a car brand that you miss?
I think the only one that I really liked was the Pontiac G8 that I thought was really cool. That one was cool. It was mean.
Because you mentioned that in the show notes, and I was like, Pontiac?
It was just a body style that grabbed my eye. I always saw it, and I was like, man, that is a good-looking car.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, Pontiac was gone, and I was like, oh, okay. See one every now and then on the road, but that's about it.
See, that car was based off of a Vauxhall or a Holden, and they are still sold in Australia right now.
Really?
Yep. So a Holden Commodore is what it was based off of. I guess
that runs the V8 Super Series down there.
Yep,
huh?
exactly. That's their stock car.
Yeah, their stock car, except better. I love that series. I think they run a lot more road courses and stuff. They made the Aztec. Any company that makes the Aztec deserves to go under immediately.
Yeah, the Aztec was a flop, but here's the thing. I bet it would do well in today's market.
I don't know, man.
Ugly
that thing
never
was
sells, dude.
ugly.
You know what car amazes me is the Honda Ridgeline. That thing, God, I don't know if I've ever seen anything uglier, and somehow it survives. Now, it's my opinion, but my opinion is always right. Like, I think we've established that. So that car is so ugly, and we went through a little metamorphosis there for a few years where car brands were trying to find like the next thing. Right. We saw a lot of rolling toasters. Yeah. We saw the PT Cruiser throwback and the Prowlers and stuff like that. And then we saw this kind of monstrosity that looked like some sort of, I don't know, like a luggage car. I don't know what the hell that was.
Looking at this right now, it looks like Pontiac took car pieces and put it into a blender and then turned it on and poured it out. And they're like, tail lights can go here, and the turn signal can go here.
Right.
Good Lord, that looks
just
bad.
Like somebody trying to earn a paycheck in the R&D department.
No, I think that was their you, I'm quitting.
Right, maybe.
Design.
Maybe. They were like, oh, yeah, you want to run our brand out of business? Well, here you go.
Watch this. You have to sell this
Double
piece of
shit. I'm out.
I love the parking lights. I love where that is fantastic.
I don't know. I kind of like it in black.
You like everything in black.
I like it with this tent on the back of it.
I was just going to say that. I was like, dude, it comes with a tent on it.
There
That's
you go.
Awesome.
That was them actually doing their spy test.
You can't see what the back looks like.
No, you can't see what the back looks like.
Oh, my God. That thing's so ugly.
You know, I bet there's people who still follow this car like crazy, though. I'm sure there's Aztec forums of people who are just in love.
There's always any car, especially cars that are really unique, they always get that like cultish following.
All right, Mike, I have to ask you, what car companies do you miss?
I miss bunches of them. But I will say that for me, I think I miss the muscle car brands. I do miss like the Trans Am, the T-tops and the, every DB driving around in a goddamn Trans Am. But they were cool. They were cool little cars. I miss, there's stuff that I don't understand why it disappeared or why like GM killed off nameplates or whatever. And we were joking about it earlier, but it's half a joke. The service record on a Geo Prism is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. Those things, you don't even have to change the oil. You just drive it until it explodes. Geo Prism would drive forever, right? Why get rid of that car? It was competitive with Toyotas on a level of reliability. Why would you Why would you do away with that nameplate? There was things like that I just didn't understand with, with a lot of vehicles that just sort of disappeared. One that we talked about a little bit off air that drives me nuts is the International Scout.
Right.
That was the SUV, man. It's gorgeous. I love it. Big metal box, but wonderful, wonderful vehicle, man. Real capable. Kind of fun to drive around in, fun to ride around in. And it just disappeared. And International went the way of totally commercial trucks. No consumer models of any kind anymore. And it's kind of a bummer.
Didn't they say the International came off the production line rusted?
I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, I'm not here to, I'm being nostalgic here. I'm sure there were probably all kinds of problems with it. Another car I miss is the Nash. I was the only person on earth that liked that. I'll be the dork that says the same thing everybody else says. DeLorean. That was a cool, cutting edge, really neat automobile, and not just because it was in Back to the Future. That's a cool. You see them now, and it's like, it's pretty cool, man.
Of course, Evo, you had mentioned the.
Oh yeah, and that was sort of figured we'd spur off into that conversation, but the Evo disappearing was like the disappearance of a genre. It was always the Subi, WRX STI, and the Evos. Every year, I mean, every car magazine, every single year, there'd be a picture of the two of them on the cover or in the center or somewhere, head-to-head testing every single time. But it was frustrating to me in a way because you know how like every great competitor in anything needs their arch rival? I'm a fan of the Subis, but I look at them now and I'm kind of like, they have stagnated a little bit, I think. And there's a bunch of reasons for it, but I have to feel like one of the reasons is they don't have that guy across the street that's still trying to pump out a more impressive vehicle every year.
A lot of the new Subarus to me still look like the Evo 10. They have the same
because the Evo started to sharpen those lines up sooner than Subaru did. The Subaru was still had the rounded, always had that hood scoop, but it was always more rounded. And then the Evos started getting sharper and sharper and sharper around the edges, and now the Subarus followed suit. And I hate to make it sound like it's just those two, but that's what I think of when you think of what's the competitor to the Subaru. It's the Evo. It's gone.
Yep,
so,
I agree.
Yeah.
And now it seems like that whole market has moved down to the hot hatch stuff and forgone that sort of.
Well, Subaru went to the hot hatch there for a little while, and then they did away with it and went back to the sedan body again, which my boys loved the hatchback. It was a good-looking ride, and then all of a sudden they're back to the sedan, so I don't know what they were doing there either.
What about you, Matt? What do you miss?
I will say, and this was a bit of a stretch, but I did get my hopes up. When I saw the Saturn Astra released, I thought this is going to be the segue for an El Camino. And the reason why I got there, for those wondering that is such a stretch, is because the Astra was built off of a Vauxhall. And so when I started seeing Saturn / Pontiac, Vauxhall, and Holdens, I thought, this is it. We are going to get a Ute, a proper Ute, and it's going to be an El Camino. Because if you look at that Commodore Ute, like we were just talking about with the G8, that is an El Camino. They should bring that to the U.S.
Function won out over form in the American market, so we didn't end up with that.
I still think even if they just brought 1,000 of them 1 year, put a Camaro front and just said, hey guys, it's a limited run El Camino, people would buy the crap out of it. Yeah. I don't think it's worth producing specifically for the U.S. outside of a limited run, because if you look at the, the SSR, that was kind of similar to an El Camino, but I didn't like the way that looked.
Like it was that throwback styling, and all those cars that tried that, the Prowler and the PT Cruiser and the SS.
Everybody loves the way the Prowler looks. Yep. Nobody likes their engine choice. No. And they were so close, because if they would have waited until they had the Hemi back,
man,
that would have been
that would have been.
The Prowler would still be here today.
Yeah.
The problem that I had with the PT Cruiser, especially the SSR, if you look at it, it looks like what I call jelly bean hot rods.
Yeah.
And it's the guys who get a 1940s hot rod and they paint the bumpers the same color as the body. They pull all the trim off. And so you look at this car and it's just bubble, and it looks like a jelly bean.
It's that Cali style.
And then they paint it in the worst color. It's nail polish colors.
Yeah.
You know, it's bright
Yeah,
purples
burnt
and yellows.
amber
And it's
stuff like
so
that.
ugly.
Yeah.
I hate it. And the SSR was geared to that person.
Yeah. Those were strange rides, man. I just don't. I also, from a mechanical perspective, hearing mechanics talk about working on the PT Cruiser, they were like, oh, thanks, guys. There already isn't enough room around a modern engine compartment with all the electronics and all the cooling equipment and everything that you have to give space to in order for it not to get fried. Let's just pack that into the size of a cooler
Right.
into the front of this car and make it impossible for you to get at anything. That stupid thing must have required more special tools than any other vehicle on the
It's
road.
like those old 80s vans where you had to, in the cab, you popped the little things and
yep,
opened it,
yep.
and you're like, hey, the engine's right here.
Yep.
We can work on it while we're driving. Just
the
keep
old
going.
Astro vans. Yeah, the old Astro vans.
Back in the day, we called those bench motors. And what that meant is you had to pull them out and put them on a bench to work on them. You couldn't work
Can't
on
do
them in the
anything
car.
else.
So I got excited seeing the Astra. And so when Saturn went away, I thought, well, and Pontiac went away, there went that dream of getting a Australian Ute stateside. But what really, I think, hurt the most for me had to be Plymouth, because seeing the Challenger and the Hellcat and the Demon, I won a CUDA.
CUDA. Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
That was the first model I built as a kid. Was a CUDA.
Really?
Oh,
I had the purple model too.
No,
the
it was
purple.
black. It was
Yours was black. I had the
CUDA.
purple CUDA model.
How's your first date going, guys?
Yeah. Well,
We met over CUDA.
yeah.
Two models that I miss. Coupe de Ville, Cadillac Coupe de Ville. That was such a nameplate for them. And then the 240SX from Nissan.
Yeah. The 240SX, I'll give you. I was never a caddy guy. It's kind of the same thing as I was
Too-
never into
too
like the
classic
luxury.
for you.
Exactly. Like I was always like, would you like some wine?
Matt loves his caddies.
I love a
He
Cadillac.
shows me some, and I'm like,
I don't
what are
care
you looking at?
what year it is. Every Cadillac is a work of art. You can take that to the
like-
bank.
It's like he's such a. I mean,
Italian.
yeah, you just want to be mobbed up so bad.
All
You're
the
like, Dad, give me the car. I don't care about all the rest of it. Just give me that sweet ride, baby.
Yep. So close to getting my grandfather's Cadillac, but
It didn't happen, huh?
didn't happen.
Well, you can buy one now. Dude, you can get them at every police auction because you know who else likes caddies? Truck dealers. Truck dealers. They love caddies.
Yeah. That's the best part, is I guarantee you'll see a C8 and an 80s Cadillac in the same rap video. There you go.
Oh, God.
So how about you guys? I mean, RX-7, like a proper Mazda RX-7 rotary, MR2, Evo.
The MR2 kind of bummed me out that it was gone. It was a mid-engine car. It was a mid-engine toy for the average, really for the average dude. That wasn't, that thing wasn't outlandishly expensive. Another one that I kind of miss is the Pontiac Fiero. That was a great car to mod. You'd see really, really cool stuff come off the Fiero.
When you say mod, are you one of these guys that puts a Ferrari body kit on it?
Those are called kit cars.
No, babe,
why-
it's a 355. I promise.
Yeah, exactly.
If you've seen a Countach that looked a little weird, that's a
All the
Pontiac.
Countachs look a little weird.
Let me rephrase that, since it's an Italian car. If you saw a Countach that wasn't on fire, that was a Fiero.
The mystery to me is what's next? Is this going to just continue, or are we going to continue to see the consolidation of brands and the less and less variety on the vehicle market?
I think we're going to see more shared cars, and so now they're spreading that R&D cost between companies. Supra being BMW, Toyota.
Well, and you already see that across the giant labels. All the Mopar stuff, Fiat, Chrysler, all of them. I mean, we've joked about it. My Jeep Renegade is a
Fiat 500X.
That's all it is, And I think you are going to see more in that because, like we talked about, it's the same reason you won't see a front engine and a mid-engine C8 the R&D costs are through the roof.
I mean, you can't blame them. They need to make money, but they are so much more interested in selling 200,000 more SUVs than actually building something that's fun.
Yeah, yeah. And and we're also missing that boutique market now to an extent because of those expenses. You can't just drop a car on the American car market and be like, hey, here, Bill and I built this in our garage, and we're going to hope it doesn't kill the first 7 passengers that drive it.
Yeah, it's like Mosler, which was the first Corvette C8.
Right. Mm-hmm.
They built 60, I think, and they're out of business. They're one of the car companies that folded.
Right.
And like we just got this article we've been reading about MAT bringing the Lancia Stratus back.
Looks really good.
It looks great, but it's not going to be built by a mainstream manufacturer. This is built by a boutique builder.
Right.
And for those who don't know what a boutique builder, it's somebody who builds one or two types of cars, and that's all they do. And they only build a handful. What comes to mind is like Icon out of California. They build FJs.
Yeah.
Probably the most famous is the Singer Porsche because of how gorgeous those cars are.
Singer Porsche.
Oh my God. This is going to change your life.
Well, you're a Porsche.
Porsche being a boutique used
Porsche
to be a boutique sports car.
It's a Singer Porsche. Huh?
Singer Porsche.
There, let's see. Yeah, I'm not going to lie.
Those are good looking.
Yeah, it's a good looking car.
So I'm going to go back to the Cadillacs here. Matt, some of these, man, I'm looking at in the 80s, and I don't know how you like some of these things, man.
Hey, Bryan, go yourself.
Well, I mean,
look at the 90 to 93 Cadillac DeVille.
Ugh.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, dude,
Ooh,
what is this?
that is heinous. Do we need to have some sort of intervention? I can't believe the Oldsmobiles went away.
That one hurts because if you look, 1897 was when that car company was founded. So you're talking about, and I think they were dismantled in 2004. That's a 107-year car company.
Was it that long ago?
Yeah.
I guess. The Oldsmobile 300 it seemed like hot shit. Maybe that was all just their marketing.
Oldsmobile being known for their Rocket V8, back in the day, hot rod motor. You brought up the International Scout.
Yeah.
And I had mentioned that I think it would be a good idea for them to team up with another off-road company, whether that's Jeep or Range Rover, even Chevrolet, and put their own body on it, because now people are so used to this cross builds and sharing R&D, and selling the International Harvester Scout at the semi dealerships, I think would be the coolest thing in the world.
You might be right.
Because it would, if you could only buy them at the international dealer where they're selling 18-wheelers right now, it would create this brand that you would expect it to be this just well-built, tough, reliable, this monster of a truck.
Killer.
Why not make their own firm, a third party under International, built by Jeep or whoever it is, serviced at those dealerships.
Right.
But at least just,
we would really love a third of whatever you make off of this.
It's a great idea.
When you guys get this. So, as our resident expert on the Saturn, what happened to that car company?
It's an interesting thing. So it was, and people don't realize this, it was employee owned, managed by GM, and it was kind of this redheaded stepchild in GM's portfolio. And when the United States decided to bail out GM, that was one that was very quickly on the chopping block, and it was causing a lot of problems for Chevrolet vehicles. Penske offered to purchase Saturn, and then I think right at the last, down to the wire, GM decided to put it under instead of sell it.
That's so weird.
It is.
Because it seemed like a successful car brand to me, but I liked a lot of those. I liked a lot of the Saturn takes on cars. All right, so the XR4 Ti.
which is
Look up the XR4TI.
which is the
You got it?
stupidest car name in the world.
It is the dumbest car name in the world. Here's an idea, auto manufacturers. When you want someone to remember your car, give it a goddamn code name that you have to be some sort of fucking mathematician to remember.
Yeah, that is the dumbest name in the world.
Yeah.
That is the sexiest car in the world.
People love that thing. Man.
Holy.
I worked with a dude, show up at work one day, and he pulls in this thing, and everybody starts flocking around it. Now, I didn't care that much. It's not my speed, but I do recognize that it's a cool looking car. And God, man, people love that thing. This dude was so in love with his XR4TI. The only place people have ever heard of it is from the Jim Rome show, because that's what he used to drive.
To me,
cool.
and I was right, type in XR4TI Rally, and that's how I know that car is from the rally cars.
Okay.
Because that is a rally car. Cosworth, I think, got their hands on it.
Yep.
The Sierra Cosworth. So here's something that kind of slipped under the radar, which I didn't realize. There's no Saab. And I guess, I just assumed they were still around. You didn't see a lot of them when they were around. So it was kind of hard to...
I see a lot of them today. There's a lot of Saabs still running out there. Some 9.3s, 9.5s.
I didn't know we were in the midst of a Saab lover.
Are you a Saabist?
Saabist.
Tell us your Saab story.
Wow.
That was a good one.
It looks like Spiker bought Saab, which I now remember. GM, I guess, sold them in 2010. Spiker picked them up.
Interesting.
Another car company that I didn't realize had come and gone was Scion.
Yeah. And I like some of the Scion designs. And I didn't realize that until you put it in the show notes. And I looked it up and was like, oh, what?
Right.
They quit with the Scion?
You go to Scion's website and it redirects you to Toyota. And it says,
the Scion spirit lives on.
Scion spirit
in the
lives.
Yaris, the Corolla hatchback. What's the 86?
That's the FRS.
Oh, yeah.
Scion, Toyota.
The 86, does that mean they 86'd it?
They 86'd it? Listen to this guy.
They just called it the 86. What year is it? It's a 19. What model? It's an 86. No, not what year. What? It's an 86.
It's an 86. No, what year?
Yeah. What model?
It's a 19.
Did they at least update the engine on
No,
it?
it's still the shitty Subaru. Sorry.
Subaru.
I don't know why they didn't turbocharge that. They just stuck the 2.5, that's it in it.
Why did Scion bite the bullet? I say as though I did any show research.
How many did you buy?
Well, to be fair, I only buy Ford pickup trucks. So.
Yeah. And the Nürburgrings.
Yeah, no, I haven't bought one of those yet because we haven't had enough subscribers.
Yeah.
Once we hit 100,000 subscribers, I'll buy a Veloster.
Cool. So by then, it will be an SUV.
It'll be yeah, exactly. We took this SUV around the Nürburgring. We didn't bother with the rumble strips. A pile of that shit. We have this new inside wheel hook that has a ski on it. We just deploys.
Apparently in 2050, we're going to talk like it's 1930.
Yeah. Hey, boys. God damn it. You distracted me from what the I was about to look
It's my good looking.
So when is Toyota going to re-release the MR2? They did the MR2 Spider in 05. I think that was the last one, yeah?
I don't think they will. Why would they?
Oh, because it's cool.
But they have the Supra, and they don't build sports cars.
Yeah, I suppose that's true.
If there's the hint of you street racing the new MR2, they're not going to build it.
Boo.
A video game wants this? No. We can't build this.
Man, some of those looked really good, too. Jeez. I forgot how good some of the MR2s looked.
So now, is that the Gen 1 you're looking at? Because then they came out with that other MR2 that was absolutely hideous.
So Gen 1 was the square 80s. Gen 2 was the 90s. Gen 3 was the EcoBox.
Okay, right. Yeah, the Gen 3 was
the
absolutely...
Gen 3 was, yeah. My favorite, honestly, is like those 80s MR2s.
Oh, I hated the cheese wedge.
Well, it's not a cheese wedge.
Yeah, give me the 90s.
Yeah, but those are cough drops.
Yeah, so but they were turbo.
Yeah, they look like
and they were also very unreliable.
There's another one that bit the dust, the Ford Probe. Named your car.
Terrible name.
Probe. God.
Well,
God, that was an ugly car.
You know,
Good
one
Lord.
car that I would really like a boutique builder to build is the Pantera.
Oh, yeah.
That would be bad.
be really cool.
Or an Edsel.
God damn, what happened to the Pantera? That would be something to see. What blows my mind is that none of them look alike.
Yeah, they all do have
you
like
look at
different looks to
Panteras,
them.
they're all different. But god damn, some of them look good. Jesus.
You know, it's a weird car, though. A car company that went away that I hear people talk about most at car shows is Packard.
Yeah,
And that
is
was
true,
that was
especially
a
if you go to,
luxury.
like hot rod shows.
Yeah, that was a luxury brand back in the day.
Yeah, Packard.
And, you know, I know there's no Maybach anymore, but if we could, you know, do a boutique luxury build, I think they could actually do a good job.
Packard was an American luxury auto builder. Marquee built by the Packard Motor Company of Detroit, Michigan, in the United States. First Packard automobiles were produced in 1899, and the last Detroit-built Packard in 1956.
Wow.
That's crazy that we all know the Packard name.
Right.
Like, all of us.
It's so weird they're following. And I don't know if it's the guys who restore them, but they just have a really good reputation as a stellar automobile. I've never driven one. You've never driven one, you know.
No.
But you hear about Packards all the time.
Didn't know they bought Studebaker.
Well, that was the worst thing they could have done.
Yeah. Yeah, those were cool, man. God, those good-looking cars. Boy, they really did, like, kind of blow it after a certain age with automobiles, didn't they?
Well, the
They
worst
just
part...
all looked so good back then.
The worst part about Packard is they missed out on, you know, granted they were there through the majority of the 50s, but not by much. They missed out on the 60s, the 70s. They really could have, you know, got into their own.
Been something. What are you going to do?
You know, but then a lot of people don't talk about Tucker.
Right.
But Packard has this, and it's probably because of the production numbers. 30 people had Tuckers.
Yeah, what is it that makes a car take off and become a known brand, you know?
Well, Tucker thought it was a helicopter motor that would seal their fate.
No, I didn't know that.
Wow, I didn't know that either.
Yeah, they had a helicopter engine in them.
What?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know.
I mean, you talk about stuff that's going to be hard to get parts for. I'm going to build this with I guess back then, no. Everything was, you know, new every year. Was it the Tucker or the Edsel that had the front tail light that turned?
The Tucker had
it the
3
Tucker?
headlights.
The Tucker,
And the middle one turned right.
I think
Yeah.
so.
That was always cool.
cool, or nobody gave a rat's ass and
Yeah,
it went
that's
away.
true.
That one.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I had an Audi S4 and the headlights turned.
Did they?
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
That's kind of cool.
You take the turn and all of a sudden the headlights would follow it,
Yeah.
and it was
It's
pretty cool.
The Jeep, when you turn a corner, as soon as you turn the wheel, the left parking lights. Well, it's not a parking light, but it's like a left beam.
Hate that so much.
Why?
Because I'll look back and I'm like, oh, they got a fog light out.
Well, what businesses is that of yours? I mean, they're just trying to make
bothers
their way
me.
around a corner.
Bothers me.
God.
What's cool about the Wrangler is it has one headlight that is on the road and then one that is up in space. So, like, I can see what's in the trees and I can see what's on.
See if there's an animal
road
up
in
there.
front
You
of
can see
me,
their
yeah.
eyes flash off.
Yeah, and it's custom.
Yeah. I've driven many vehicles where the front headlights were a questionable commodity at all times.
Yeah.
You know, we all have.
My favorite is if you've ever had a car with pop-up headlights and you go to turn them on one day and they turn on but they don't pop up.
Right.
So the ground below you is really nice and lit and the road in front of you is not.
Another company that went downhill pretty quick that I didn't think would was Suzuki.
Yeah.
Well, at least in the American market.
In the U.S. market, they are
Yeah.
still a car company. They're just not a U.S. car company. And I would imagine Mitsubishi's going that way as well.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Just
It's back to that American car standards thing. That's, you know, it's like you're going to bring your brand over here to enter a market where you have to completely revamp your R&D for one market. Yes, it's the biggest market, but we got to get a foothold in that market and be able to make it worthwhile to throw all that R&D cost into the development of your vehicle. I think that's what it was for Suzuki. And it also, look, which one was it? The Amigo? One of them had such horrible safety ratings that that hurt the company bad. I don't remember if it was the Amigo or the Sidekick. One of them was just like a rollover machine.
I had talked about, on the original Driving Standard blog, I had talked about Suzuki exiting the U.S. car market. I really felt like they were underrated, and I was disappointed they left the market because I thought we were actually going to get a rally car out of them.
Yeah.
I thought they were going to become more competitive, and I thought, with the Kazashi, that we were going to get an all-wheel drive, turbo, Evo, STI Challenger. If you saw Suzuki car commercials at the time, they really touted themselves as, having better handling than a Volvo, having better braking than a Mercedes. And they started really kind of shifting their tone and their marketing plan, that they were focusing on more performance. Come to find out, they really, I think, were just trying to push their value.
Right.
And not so much their performance. And so I thought we were going to get some really cool hopped up.
Yeah.
And it never happened.
They were telling you how cool they were instead of showing you.
Right.
Hey, these are our benchmarks that we're beating, but not doing anything special that anybody was going to grab onto, I guess, is what it sort of turned into. And I can't think of any Suzuki that I was excited about.
I really liked the Kazashi, and I, now looking back, hindsight, but it had this opal kind of look, and it was very European in its styling, and I thought, oh yeah, this is it. But I thought that was kind of a cool looking car. So like every week we do predictions they got wrong. As people who have listened to the show know, we have a bunch of old automobile and car and driver, road and track, sport compact magazines, and so every week we dig through them and we find either an article or an advertisement, letter to the editor, that somebody said something really stupid. And this week we have our first advertisement.
Oh, okay. Right.
This comes to us via Luxury Wheels Omega, which when you go to their website, it gives you advice now how to put a car seat in a car. So I don't think they sell wheels anymore. And you'll see why. And I think they named this rim, it's called Devon. And so this was named after the guy who's probably responsible for putting this company out of business.
I would gather.
Because this is the wheel they recommend for a BMW M3 convertible. And I will...
Wow. That is a good-looking washboard right there.
All right, folks. So that you can picture this, if you've ever seen corrugated steel, it's literally corrugated steel turned on its...
It's a 20-inch...
And welded into a 20-inch rim.
It's a 20-inch chrome wheel that looks like a storm shutter. So
that is hilarious. That is somebody's idea of what the future was going to look like. Oh my God, dude. That is the best thing
They
I've ever
apparently
seen.
really felt like this was going to be the wheel of the future.
Dude, that's great.
That should have...
Yeah, that should sheet the rain off in whatever direction it happens to be spinning. Oh my God.
That is terrible. And, the best part about it is, and for those who can't see this or can't look it up anymore, there is no airflow for your brakes.
Yeah.
That is all the heat.
I think maybe, Star Trek The Next Generation was popular back then. Maybe they wanted the car to look like Geordie LaForge.
Brian, what's the year on that magazine?
The year on this one is December of 2001.
Wow.
Oh my God.
That's not
Wow.
even...
What on earth? The only place those were ever at was in a rap video. I guarantee you.
I don't even think they were in a rap video. They are that bad.
That is a bad wheel. God, we need to take a picture of that and put it up on the site so people can see it.
I bet it reflected the sign great as you drove down the street.
Flash, 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 flash,
Yeah.
flash, flash. You go down the road. It's randomly blinding you at different intervals. What a hideous wheel. Man.
What is bizarre is why that car that they show it on.
Yeah. Why did they decide that was the wheel of choice? God.
Would any BMW driver ever buy that wheel? No way.
No, man. Like, that is... Well, like you said, their website redirects to not that anymore. So
I'm gonna ditch my BBSs for the Devon.
guys, listen, I've got a bunch of corrugated steel at my shop, and I know that we have some old rims laying around. We need to recreate this and put it on the Saturn for the RMR.
I want to point out that they photoshopped their wheels on an M3, right?
Right.
They didn't even put them even.
Look at that. Oh. They didn't at all.
Oh, wow. They're still making
Omega
insurance.
Luxury Wheels, which according to their slogan is a passion for elegance.
I got a passion for something. So I do have, like, car advice this week that I'm wondering about. So my nephew has I want to say it's a 2008 Honda Accord. And suddenly, yesterday, he can't shift. And I don't know if it's a master cylinder. I don't know if it's a throwout bearing. I don't know what's going on. I've loaned him a car until he gets it fixed. What do you guys think's going on?
Stop trying to shift an automatic.
Oh, I could pass that on to him.
Yeah,
He might
he's
be
stuck in
confused.
reverse at 30 miles an hour trying to speed shift. You see him driving away, and all of a sudden the reverse lights came on for a brief
I
second. and you're
unbolted
like,
the
"What
seat so I could spin it around, and it's still not working. Yeah, I don't know. What you think?
He cannot shift like the clutch
shift.
pushed in.
Yeah, he pushes the clutch. No, he's trying to crash knock that shit. He's been driving it for 10 years, and he suddenly decided yesterday.
Hey, Uncle Mike, I have a weird question. What's this third pedal over here for?
No, I'm asking like he can push in the clutch and it'll disengage.
No. Well, I don't know.
So is it like
He says he can't shift gears. That's all he says.
like
I think he had to drive it
So-
to the dealership to the mechanic and first.
This is the sound of this episode.
Crashing and burning.
One car company that I kind of agree did not serve a purpose was Eagle.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it had Mitsubishi Talon Eclipse. It had the Vision, which was an Intrepid. It had a Mitsubishi Mirage as the Vista. I mean, this was a car company that was just it was just rebadged versions of.
Well, it didn't find a spot where it. Okay, so like the Buick, right? The Buick brand is all just Chevys, and there's 3 tiers of them. It's the Chevy, and then it's the GMC, and then it's the Buick. And basically what they do is they add sound deadening materials to it and add better and better options as the lines move up, right? The Eagle didn't... What did it fit?
Yeah.
What was it? It was supposed to be like the performance brand because that was arguable. It wasn't the luxury brand.
Right.
That'd be arguable. And just the name of it didn't invoke any of that. You know, it didn't invoke, like, to me, it didn't sound like it could have, I suppose, if the badge had been put on the right car. But the Eclipse already existed, and you could get that performance out of the Eclipse. Why'd you need the Eagle?
Yeah, it seemed like it made the most amount of sense that one has went under. I'm a little shocked that Buick is still here.
Yeah. I don't know. Did Tiger Woods save the Buick brand? It still seems to be the golf caddy car of choice.
Here's the thing about Buick though is now the new Regal is a crossover wagon. So thanks Buick.
Did they really?
Yep.
Wow.
What is going on? I don't get where. I get where they're going. I don't get how it's fun. As a car guy, I'm like, why?
That's
why
the
am I
worst
seeing
part.
this
And
crap?
we talked about this, that they need to get their straight because the guys who are going to spend not just the entry level price, not just the $30,000 cars, the guys who are going to buy the $60,000, the $70,000 cars were performance dudes.
Yeah. Well, look at it this way. I remember being little and going to all the car dealerships, going through there and being like, damn, wow, geez, holy cow, all these, crazy nifty automobiles at all these different dealerships up and down the street. I don't feel that way anymore. And a couple of sports cars here and there, but not a bunch of stuff that turns heads anymore.
Or you go there to see the car that you want to see, the Supra or something like that, and they're like, "Oh, we don't have that here."
Yeah, we don't have that here.
But we do have its cousin, the RAV4.
The RAV4.
And you're like, oh, shut up.
Dodge Journey.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, for those who don't know, Bryan went to a Dodge dealership to look at the Durango or the Hemi Durango, and they said, well, you know, we don't have one, but we do have a Dodge Journey, and it's just like a Durango.
It's its little brother. And I'm like, are you
no
kidding
one
me?
ever.
What was that? They did a, damn it, what was that wagon that they did for a couple of years?
The Nitro.
Was it the Nitro? No. The Nitro was more like a Jeep.
Yeah, it was like what you drive.
No. There was a...
No, it is what you drive.
It's this Wrangler boy. Magnum.
Oh.
Yeah. The Magnum had a SRT8, which was pretty bad.
Yeah, I thought those things were pretty cool.
It was like a lot of those anymore either. The little hatchback Magnum.
No. Transmissions all blew up.
Was that the deal?
I don't know.
I never. They didn't last long. He just look at this is, and that's how gullible I am. I'm like, really? Is that what blew up like that? No, well, who knows?
Okay, face. Let's see what their rating is.
Well, it's a Mopar. Of course, it's blowing up right and left. Trying to look at Dodge Magnums. Not as pretty as I remember them.
You know, there were guys who could, and you could do this with the Magnum, the Charger, but you could actually put a Charger or a Chrysler 300 front end.
They did a lot of that car shows we used to go to. They do that. There'd be guys that, you know, when those came out, the flat screen TVs were a big thing, and they were like, "Oh, I wanted the back to open, and this big old TV just flops down, and all this." Those were huge in the car shows.
That's a sexy ride right there.
Look at 2007 Dodge Magnum with Hellcat front end.
Oh, that's bad.
Told you.
I'm not gonna lie. That's fucking bad.
That red one.
God
that red
damn,
one was
yeah.
a good looking
Dude,
car.
Man, yeah.
Dodge should just bring that back, right?
Yeah. No kidding.
Put
Like,
that
if you-
front
if you
end on
can
a long
simply-
wagon. I mean, that is as good as an old Nomad to me. That looks great.
It almost looks like a littler brother of the Dodge Journey.
Glad you're not bitter about it at all.
God
So,
damn.
like a Charger Hellcat wagon would look great.
God, wouldn't it?
Other cars that were killed off in this past couple of years, the Volkswagen Beetle.
Yeah.
The Ford Fiesta was just killed off this year.
Nobody gives
The FJ Cruiser. Which
that
we
one
know
hurts my soul,
That's a
dude.
big one.
God, I love the FJ. I would love to see that come back. I don't know what killed that off either. The FJ was a good looking car.
Toyota lost their
4Runner,
f***ing
right?
soul. No, they have a 4Runner
Do
still.
they still have a 4Runner?
Yeah.
It's just not pretty anymore. Is that the deal?
No, they have. It's pretty good.
They still
look
have
pretty
the
good.
same. Is it still that same body style? I've liked.
Yeah, they like
The last
squared
10
it up
years.
and made
Yeah,
it a little bit
with the
more
little-
sharper angles.
We
and
almost
stuff on
bought
it.
one of those, but a hockey goalie bag wouldn't fit in the back, so we couldn't buy it. That was literally all we had it for.
Nissan did a Murano convertible.
Oh my god!
Like, people don't realize
Dude, you
that.
just said that in about
That was a cool car.
yeah.
It was built for people over 55, like, no doubt.
right.
But you give me a two-door convertible SUV, I will be a happy dude. But I
Yeah.
also drive a Wrangler, so keep that in mind.
Right.
I like the Evoque Coupe.
Yeah, the Evoque Coupe is awesome.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
one's cool. Does that one come in a convertible?
The Evoque did come in a convertible.
What?
See, that'd be cool too.
Picture
That
it
is
didn't
pretty,
happen.
pretty awesome. It's called the Evoque Dynamic.
What? I was never a Land Rover guy, but that's good looking. I can't talk. Of course, you can't own a convertible in Colorado. We've discussed that. Those are out.
Yeah, I was going to take the top off today. Guess what I didn't do?
Yeah. Fear overcame you, and that was the end of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm scared to open the sunroof half the time in my car because I'm just assuming it's gonna. Oh, look, it's
Gonna
hailing.
hail.
What the heck? Or here, people. You think that we haven't talked enough about the snow and the hail and all the other shit? I had a brand new Jeep Renegade for 2 weeks. Two fucking weeks before I got caught in a sandstorm like it was the goddamn Sahara Desert. And I decided, like any normal person would, to just take the highway. And apparently there was a 70-mile-an-hour goddamn wind burst that destroyed the entire exterior of our 2-week-old vehicle. Yeah.
And your windshield.
So leave your f***ing car wherever you come from when you move to Colorado, because it will get destroyed. God hates cars in Colorado. I don't know why. Just f***ing hates them. The drivers suck, so you get hit. You'll get hit. You'll get door dings in parking lots. People are because we import here. We import them from all over the country, all over the world. We go, hey, California, tax is too high. Bring us your dicks. There's plenty here. Bring them in, and then fucking put dents all up the side of my car, and then fucking ride your motorcycle like an idiot and crash into me, or whatever it happens to be. And then if that's not enough, Jesus hates this place because of all the sinners or something, and if we legalize marijuana and he said it'll rain hail from the skies from now for fucking eternity, we get a snowstorm every year that traps people in their cars on the highway, so that's fun. When you're in your fucking,
once a year.
Yeah,
we get
when you're in your 300ZX
bit.
and suddenly you're in a whiteout and can't figure out why. God damn. Why do I live here? I can't have a car in this place. Bullshit, man. I've tried. I'm not gonna